at Greenbox Loans. And what we're going to go over today is the new TRID disclosure, which hopefully all of you are somewhat familiar with and have taken a couple of classes online or presentations. There are several recordings through LendingQB themselves on how to complete the different fields and areas in LendingQB. There are also some classes and online recordings through DocMagic if you have access to log in there and take the classes as well. Right now we're going to start with a test file that we went ahead and created here. It's a simple conforming 30-year fix. And basically you're still going to have to register your loan to select a program to even start the loan to be able to create a loan estimate. Okay? We also still will have your agents folder. Your agents folder is this folder here. It's going to show you all the service providers in this transaction. Okay. So you're still going to enter, as you see here, closing agent. You're still going to have to complete the information, the company's name, contact information. This information here will not carry forward to your loan estimate statement like it did before on the GFE when you would click a button that said to copy from your contact sheet. Okay. One thing I wanted to bring up was that, a lot of times I see that you have the closing agent or escrow company the same as the title company. I need you to remember the title company is the title company who has issued the prelim, your title commitment. So your closing agent, if it's Calabasas Escrow, your title company is not going to be Calabasas Escrow. Your title company is going to be the title company that the prelim name is on there, and your title commitment if you're dealing with wet states. We see this a lot with wet states because they will put both the closing agent and the title company one and the same. TRID is getting very sticky, and they are very sticky who your payees are on your LE or your loan estimate. So it needs to be correct that if your title company is Stewart Title, Old Republic, Fidelity, it needs to state that and not your closing agent's name or the escrow agent's name. Okay?
Good tip.
In LendingQB, you're going to see that you do now have a new folder drop down. It's called your Disclosure TRID. And this is where you're going to be working most of the time when you're going to create your LE. Sonia should have emailed to you kind of our summary of what we're going to go through today. So I kind of sat last night and put together every possible question you might have, how you can access it, change it, what you should do in each one of these screens we're going to go over today. Sonia, did you send everybody that?
Yes, I just sent it. Everybody should have it in their email.
Okay. Our first screen is going to be your lender's credit. You're always going to set this manually, okay? Your cost here, you see your initial GFE. When you register your loan and you select your product, you're going to see that when they selected the product on this loan, they did not do par pricing. So therefore, there is a cost for that rate, okay? If you're going to do your LE, you probably are not going to be charging a cost for the rate already because you haven't locked the loan. But I just wanted to explain to you why you see this here. And that's because when this loan was registered in the loan, a program was selected, there was a cost to the rate, so that's why this is here. But normally when you're going to be doing your first loan estimate, this should be 0. You're not going to really know because the loan is not locked, if there's a cost to the rate or not.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Just briefly, so there's no more GFE. Going forward, it's LE, and there's going to be an opening statement and a closing, and we're not worrying about GFEs or anything.
Right. There is no longer a GFE until.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
The GFE until is being replaced by your loan estimate and your closing disclosure.
Okay, so those are the two most important things, the lender estimate and the closing disclosure.
Right. There is no longer a final HUD 1, no longer a estimated HUD 1. There is no longer a HUD. Your closing disclosure is your final closing statement, and we'll go through that when we get to that part of this.
Thank you.
Okay. On this lender credit, this is where you're going to do a lender credit. Say you decided, you told the borrower you're going to give them a credit. They can apply it however they want. This is where you would give the lender credit. Say you told them you'll give them $500. Okay, you would put the lender credit here in this screen. Okay, you're not going to put it anywhere else. Okay, any questions about that? Okay. Your next screen is your non-P&I housing expenses. You're going to notice there's 3 folders here: amounts, prepaid, escrow impounds, and details. You're going to notice up top here, you're going to see the different dates. These are the dates that we first did a loan estimate, our estimated closing date, and our first payment. Okay, this here is not right. This is our estimated closing date, sorry.
Can I ask a question now? When that goes estimated closing date goes in, who is able to see that?
Everybody should be able to. Yeah, everybody should be able to see that. Your estimated closing date, you're always going to put in your general screen. It's going to carry it forward from your general screen. So if your general screen, you have your estimated closing date, which you do have here, it should carry forward.
Okay, just from a processing standpoint, I would like to, as an AE, I would like to see people prioritize based on that date. So I was just curious where that went in. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go back here. Your non-PI housing screen, you have 3 different fields or boxes you can open up here. You're going to see, for example, it's telling you the insurance, what it's calculating per month for the insurance. The taxes is going to give you county, and this is for California, of course, your $1.25 per thousand, and it will calculate it for you. But if you wanted to, you can yourself. You have your options to do drop downs for city and county. There are some counties that have a city tax, and there's some counties that have a county tax. So this is where you can also divide it, and you need to separate it out. And the reason why, if you're dealing with a property that's in a state that has a city and county tax, it needs to be separated out because there's different due dates. Okay, your county tax may be due in November, but your city tax may be due in June. So the system needs to know, and we're going to go further and tell the system what month those are due, because then your months are different when you're going to try to figure out your impound account. So it's important that you do separate out if you do have separate city and county taxes. Okay? Here
so when we have reserves, this is part of what we need for reserves? Lisa, help me out here.
Yes, this is part of what you need for reserves.
Okay, and then any special assessment taxes would go in the other tax expense, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
You have several choices here. You have waste, you have irrigation, you have sewer, you have township. There's some wet states we've seen sewer that's like $24 a year. As you will see, everything's divided by 12 over here, so you would have to make sure you put in the yearly amount. It's divided by 12. So this gives us a lot more options to where before we didn't have these several drop downs to be able to separate city, county, water, sewer, and various items. Okay?
Okay.
Here's your upfront MIP screen.
LaFawn, this is Amy. I have a question. Does that transfer over to the info screen?
To the loan info screen? Yes, it should all transfer over once you change it.
So it's going to be separated out now, so it's not just going to say taxes, it's going to say county, city.
I haven't talked to LendingQB to see if on your loan info screen it's still going to say other, or if it's going to, I don't think it's going to change because it already has county, but in your loan info screen, let's go there so they can see what we're talking about. In your loan info screen, you have your breakdown of your P&I, your insurance, and your county taxes. Here is the other screen where we used to put other taxes, say if there were city taxes, we would put it here. I don't think they're going to change this because it says other taxes and expenses, or whether or not they're going to add another line. I can check with LendingQB and I can ask them.
So are we going to be able to adjust it if, let's say, we didn't do it right at processing? Is that something that can be changed?
Yes, you can change it.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Then we're going to have to know as underwriters to go in there and fix that.
Yes.
Okay. So, Amy, if I'm hearing you correctly, you can go in and say, okay, it's off by $15 a month, and then just go put in minus 15, and it'll fix it so that the debt ratio works. Yes, no?
No, we'll go into that screen that LaFawn was in and make sure that the taxes are collected properly. So when you close, they're collected.
But you know what I'm saying, though, that to make the debt ratio work, can you go in
he's
and
modifying it initially with the LE. That's what he's referring to. So, yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So right now the system, because the property's in California, is computed it for you at $1.25 for you. Okay. Up front, anything that's blue, you can open it up, and this here will P. That would be if your loan was an FHA loan, for example, where you're going to calculate your upfront MIP, and this is where this would all be done on the screen. Okay?
Is that the only place we're going to be able to access that, or is it still going to be?
No, I think you still have access of it in your loan info screen. Let me look in this test file.
And do you want everything labeled
No.
exactly?
You have your upfront MIP still available here in your loan info screen. Also as other financing, because there's a couple areas where you can access either if you have subordinate financing and if you need to put the upfront MIP. Also your mortgage insurance is here too, where you can access it to put in your monthly MI. So it's still in the loan info screen for you guys to access as well.
Thank you.
Okay. So that screen is pretty simple. The next screen is going to be your borrower's responsibility. Okay. How do I close this window, Sonia?
What window? Your dashboard?
Yeah.
You can minimize it. Just click on the little, there.
Doesn't do anything. Okay, it goes. Okay. Here's your loan compensation program. For example, it looks just like the GFE. If this was a TPO and you're dealing with wholesale loans, this is where you're going to change the origination from lender pay to borrower pay. In this case, this loan is a retail loan, so it's lender paid. Each one of these fees are already manually input. There is a button here that if for some reason there's a fee that you need to add, another box will open up, and you have 3 other fees that you can add here. If there's a fee, for example, that you come across that needs to be added in this section, you can either let John or I know and we will add it, but we've tried to put every possible fee that we can in your origination. You're going to see that this is divided into sections now. A, B, C, E, F. As we go down, we'll go through each one of them. This is your origination. Everything that's grayed out, you cannot change. It tells you optional. In this case, these are not optional fees. You have no option. You cannot access this either to delete it if you wanted to. You cannot change it if it's an APR fee or not. Okay? This here tells you whether or not this loan fee may apply to FHA loans. Your pay to column tells you who it's paid to. It needs to be complete and say that it is the lender, if the fees to go to the lender. Then your little stick man will tell you your company name, the contract sheets, your current loan agents, and you can choose who. Most of the time on a retail deal, it's always going to be Greenbox. Okay, but say for example, this was a wholesale deal, and say the discount point, say the origination, for example, was to go to the broker. Then here you would change this to broker. Okay, then you would choose here, the stick man, what is the broker's name. And that information is going to have to be in your contact folder. But you're going to see here, you don't have choices because this is not a wholesale deal, this is a retail deal. But I wanted to explain to you on wholesales, this is where you need to change the pay to be broker and not lender.
Okay. Obviously, I'm an account executive, so as I watch this happen while you do this presentation, my question becomes: as long as there are third-party fees, and as long as they provide you with an invoice for that third-party fee, and that's okay, and we're going to have to add that in piece by piece.
Right. Say, for example, the mortgage broker has their own credit report fee. You would add it here, correct. Mortgage broker credit report fee. You would change this to pay to broker, okay? You would choose the name of the broker because we have to make sure that every fee has a person it's payable to. But like I said, the broker's names aren't going to appear here today because we don't, this is a retail deal.
Yeah, no, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay. So as long as with the request for closing docs that are, in my case as a wholesale guy, as long as they get a copy of the invoice, then we will put in that third party, let's say it's Credco, so we put in their info, and then but the broker's already paid for it or brought in a credit card number to take care of that. So they're being either A, reimbursed, or B, paying that third-party vendor.
Okay.
All right, you understand what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you're not going to be pulling a credit report yet. Okay,
I'm not going to be. But when the loan closes, they've already paid for example, like a borrower ABC comes in and says, okay, I need a credit card number to pay for a credit report, to look at your credit. And then they submit the loan.
Okay, Harvey, can I interrupt you for a minute? Okay.
It's Adam, but yeah.
When you're doing your loan estimate, you don't have a credit card authorization. That's one thing that TRID has changed. Okay, there's going to be 6 items that trigger you as the loan officer or the loan broker as whether you have an application for a loan or not. And what I mean by the word application does not mean a 1003. If you have an address, a loan amount, income, estimated value, name of the borrower, and their social security number, they've given that to you verbally, you have that information, that is considered your application. Okay, you are not supposed to be pulling a credit report, obtaining documents from the borrower, a credit authorization, or anything.
But that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is that if I on the documentation, if I want to, as a broker, again, I'm an AE, so I'm not taking the application. But what I want to know is, if there is a third-party fee when it goes to
you better put it on the LE. You might as well estimate it, whether it be $30 or $50, and put it on the LE.
Okay, that's what it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So here you have the option to choose who these are supposed to be payable to. Sometimes your processing fee may be paid to an outside processor or your broker's processor. Okay, so you can also put in here broker if the processing fee is going to be payable to the broker. You put it there. Unless you change it, it's always, the system's going to assume that it's always going to be the lender.
Hold on.
So what you're going to do when you're completing this, you're going to make sure that every fee that is here has a pay to, a name of a company, here will show you the items that are grayed out, which are manually already in our system. And here you can change the amount. So your processing fee is going to be $7.95. You can change it. Okay. Here it also tells you when it's payable at closing, and the date that it's going to be paid. Your estimated closing date. Okay. This is your calendar where you can open it up if you wanted to. In this case, no, you can't open it. Okay. To delete items, you have this button all the way far to your right. Are you sure you want to remove this fee? You can remove the fee by deleting the button far to the right. Minus means removing it. Section B, services that you cannot shop for. These are services that we as a lender go ahead and order, such as your appraisal report, your credit report, flood service, and tax service if it applies. I kind of wanted to go over the top part here, what each one of these mean in case you didn't know. The DFLP means deduct from loan proceeds. That is for funding, where we're telling the system that you take the loan amount and you minus these fees to come up with the amount of money that you're to wire to escrow. TP means third party if these fees are paid to a third party. Say, for example, your notary fee. If your title company is not going to be doing your notary and you know that already that you always use an outside notary, then you will put third party. So it knows that that fee is paid to a third party. It's not going to go to the title and escrow company. An AFF means affiliate, which is this case. An affiliate would be your title and escrow companies. So your escrow company, these are grayed out because they're already affiliates. Okay? If the notary was an in-house notary for the title company, then it would be an affiliate, unless you have an outside notary service that's going to perform your notary for you. Okay? Again, you're going to have to put the information in your contacts folder so that every fee has a person it's payable to. You can no longer issue your loan estimate, or what we used to call your GFE, with other. You can no longer have other as a person a fee is payable to. Okay. Section C, services you can shop for. These are your title and escrow fees. You can also add fees here as well. There's a couple other fees, archive fee, owner's title policy, survey, where you can add the fees also. Again, you're going to see that this is divided in sections now. Section C. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Section E, your taxes and government recording fees. This is where you're going to put your recording fees and your transfer taxes. Say you have a transfer tax. We are going to, how come it's not open? Title, recording. I'm going to have to check with LQB why it's not open. It's not letting you compute or put in your transfer tax. We do have a transfer tax down here in section G, but this is for your property taxes. This is not your transfer tax what you have on a sale. This is because this is a refinance. This is not a purchase. But your transfer tax field would be in here where you would add in your transfer tax, and it should be open for you to add a fee if you needed to. Transfer tax is still a zero tolerance, like it has always been. Prepaid interest. Account. This is your escrow account for taxes and insurance. Okay? Any questions with that? Okay. Loan terms. This specifically is just your loan terms, the terms of your loan, whether or not you have an adjustable rate, you have a fixed rate. This is where you no longer will have a till to complete. This is where you will go into your loan term screen if you did have an adjustable rate, and you're going to put in your margins and your floor rate, whether or not it's your start rate or whatever it is for the program that you're using. There's no longer going to be a till page. In this case, this is a regular conforming loan, so you still have to make sure that the bottom section here is filled out, because this information here will transfer over to your LE. The next screen is your loan estimate screen. Okay? You're going to see at the top you have the record loan estimate data. Once you prepare this, you're going to record the information, and it will keep the information that the first LE that you did on this loan was on 9/30. Okay? It gives you the information, the applicant, the address, the appraised value, the purpose, the ID.
LaFawn, and again, they have to record their the loan estimate when?
Within 3 days that they've received those 6 items. Okay?
Okay, just so that we're all clear on that. Mm-hmm.
Your 3
Well, no, my question is, as at the end of the day, we're going to be responsible as the lender, as the investor, to they're coming after people with deep pockets. So we need to be obviously ahead of the curve on how we disclose. So Lou, you're on the call?
Yes,
Hello?
Lou.
Yeah, she's on the call.
Oh.
And
Okay.
I think this would be more on compliance, correct, LaFawn?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, to actually record the loan
compliance
estimate
on a
date, because this is when it's going to
wholesale
get disclosed.
Yeah. On a wholesale deal,
Right.
compliance is going to review to make sure your documents are in compliance. And if they're not, then they're going to notify you that it has to be redone.
Correct.
Yeah,
And this
no,
is
we
just a
all want to be
walkthrough
done,
for all
correct?
wholesale. This is just a walkthrough so you could get a view and a vision of what's being done in operations. Not that it has to be done, it's not your duty, but just so you get a view and an understanding of what we're doing as far as TRID. But again, open for open for questions.
No, I agree, Sonia. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, here again, it gives you your projected payment. And the loan estimate, it tells the borrower their P&I, their estimated escrow payment, and their total payment. Here it also gives you your estimate, includes your insurance at $65 a month and $625 for taxes, and it tells you that it is escrowed by saying yes. Your estimated taxes and insurance and assessment, if you click on your blue area here, it takes you back to the screen that we showed you previously. Okay, this is where you can put in how much it is a month. Okay, or if you wanted to override this and put in, if you wanted to base them on 108, I mean, you could do that as well. Okay, we do use for California 1.25. Loan estimate, again. So here we have your closing cost detail. This gives you a breakdown of all the fees that we just saw in the borrower's responsible screen. Okay. It shows you the lender credits as well. And then it will show you at the bottom what the total estimated closing costs will be. And basically the details of your transaction are at the bottom of this form as well. This gives you your estimated cash to close. Okay. If you did have an adjustable rate, it would show you the tables to your far right if this was an adjustable rate loan. Once you've completed that, you have to record your estimate, okay, to be able to archive it. To produce the LE, you have to record and archive your loan estimate. Once you've archived it, then you should be able to access it. Right now, we are talking to DocMagic because this form, just like the GFE, you used to be able to go in your print screen and view it here and preview it. It's not showing up yet. They're currently working on that, and hopefully will be resolved in the next day or so. Your loan estimate archive is going to show you your last archived loan estimate that was issued. I want you to remember that your last loan estimate archive has to match your closing disclosure. When you're getting ready to close, this is going to have to match your closing disclosure. Settlement providers screen, you're not really going to use this screen. This folder is only going to be used if you want to add a new contact. Say you use an outside notary, Mary Smith, and she's your outside notary user for all your deals. You're going to put her information in here so that when you're preparing your fees, she will be in your contact folder. Okay? Otherwise, if not, you won't be able to find her in your contact folder when you're doing all your fees. So use your settlement service provider screen to add contacts that are not already in the contact folder. Okay. Your home count. This, when you first see it's going to be blank. You need to generate it. Otherwise, it's going to be blank. So unless you generate it, it will not show all your organizations. So still remember to generate at the top here so all your organizations populate. Sellers responsible for closing costs. For example, owner's title policy. If the seller is going to be responsible for the owner's title policy, this is where you're going to want to put it. Okay? Unless the seller is not responsible for it, then you would not put it here. Same thing with any transfer tax that you may have, city and county transfer tax. You're going to add it here. Remember again who it's payable to, in this case title company, and the name of the title company.
Like if they just say they're contributing $5,000 to closing costs, does it have to be broken down?
Okay. No, the $5,000 credit for closing costs does not have to be broken down. There are some investors that we do work with that, yes, I do have to fill out a sheet saying what the $5,000 went to, but on here you do not have to break it down, as long as it doesn't exceed your actual closing costs.
Okay.
Okay. Adjustments and other credits. This is where you enter your seller's credit that you were talking about. Say this was a purchase and you had a $2,000 seller credit. You would enter it here. You're not going to just enter it on page 3 of year 1003. You're going to enter it here. Okay.
Okay. Do we have to click that button, include in 1003 details?
What we did was that opened the other, it gave you the 3 options, okay? Say you had relocation funds where there was a credit because the employer, this just gives you the other options to choose here. Okay.
Is there a reason you didn't check the include and 1003 details on the seller credit?
No, we can put include in 1003. We can, yes, so we'll include it in the 1003. So you see, if you populate that to the right, that will automatically put it in your 1003. Right now, you have to manually go all the way to your 1003 and input it for it to be there. So this kind of saves you one less step. If you click include in your 1003, it will add it to your details of your transaction, which is that last page of your 1003.
If it's a seller credit, where does it go? If it's a part of a seller paid closing cost, where would the
Investments and other credits,
obviously,
it says seller credit from seller.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, and then you wanted to make sure it carried over to your 1003, which is why you're highlighting the box to the right, because once you check it, you will see it carries it down here to your details of your transaction, and it should carry over to your 1003. Okay? Okay. Your closing disclosure. Go there. The system doesn't want to go there. Okay, let's stay at your adjustments and other credits. Okay, at the bottom, you'll see in the middle your details of your transaction again, your cash to close, and then your summary, which gives you your debts to pay off. Okay, if you've checked in your liability screen your loan to be paid off, it should carry forward. If for some reason the borrower owns this property free and clear, say they're paying off some other liability, you could always manually input it here. Otherwise, it should carry over from your liability screen if it's a payoff of a loan. Okay. You see over here there are fields where you can put it in. This is due from seller. This is more or less this side of the form here is on a purchase transaction. Okay. You have to remember that your closing disclosure is your final HUD 1 now. So when you're going to get your fee estimate from your closing agent, when your loan is locked and you're getting ready to prepare your last loan estimate, you need to also input all the seller's information as well. And that means their loan payoff. Okay?
And you're going to go into all the changes, circumstance, and all that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Your closing disclosure. This is the closing disclosure that will be issued. And again, we have the 373 rule. Okay? This disclosure has to be issued and delivered to the borrower 3 days prior to our note date. So on the 4th day, he would be able to prepare docs. This closing disclosure has to match your last LE that was issued. Okay?
Can you say that again, please?
The closing disclosure has to match the last LE that you issued on this loan.
Okay, and the 373 rule was 3 days prior to the note.
Right, is that the closing disclosure has to be issued to the borrower 3 days before loan documents will be issued. It has to be issued by the borrower, yes, business days.
This is the most important part of the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
LaFawn, does that apply to non-owner?
Okay. It does not apply to non-owner investment loans as long as it is a business for business purposes. We do have those disclosures that we do provide, and QC does make sure that on all our investment non-owner occupied loans that those disclosures are completed by the borrower and are in each loan. So you have your investment disclosure that's done and required, and you have your business also. Okay.
Okay. Can you finish with the 373 rule, please?
I'm going to ask a silly question. And what I'd like, so as we, at the end of the day, we as a lender have to make sure positively sure that we're disclosing to the borrower correctly. We have the rule in place, what TRID wants. Are there any overlays for us, and or are there any, like, I would rather, again, as an AE, I'd rather see us go a day late. And, okay, so if I have to redraw docs, for example, because there's a change of circumstance, do I have to redisclose again? How do I have to do that? And then how does operations have to be involved with that? Because eventually, inevitably, the guys that work with me are going to have to deal with it. So when circumstances future, like, how does that work within our back end?
Okay, well, everybody knows what circumstances constitutes a COC, do they not?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
When you change a loan program, a COC is required. When you lock the loan, a COC is required. When there's a fee change, say there's a fee change, say the title company made a mistake and their owner's policy is $1,100 instead of $1,000. You can do a COC.
Yeah.
Okay, but then your waiting period again starts over. Your 3 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and what was the
that's
seventh part of the
asking,
rule?
That's why I'm asking the question, because I want to know how to respond to my client base. So if there's a change on their behalf, I want to know, okay, that's on you guys, and I want to know I know what's on us, but I want to know what's on them. So, and I also want to let them know, hey, listen, like, we're all kind of floating around in these, like, new regulations and rules. So we all want to be, like, in the same raft, floating together to make sure that we're not in trouble together.
Right.
So we're trying to be on the same page here. So if there's a change, I would just assume, and I'm not the owner of Greenboxloans, but I would like to, you know what? Let's push the reset button, unless it's a purchase that somebody, like, let's hit it again. So I would like to know how do we kind of look at where we're in compliance and where we're kind of sitting in the wings. I know that LQB has done some things that I'm looking at on the screen, obviously, but like, where's that? Is that all built into this? How does this? I guess, how do you guys look at it from your point on compliance? Is everything off of LQB, or is it? I don't know. I'll let you take it.
Can you just real quickly finish the 373 rule?
Okay. The 373 rule.
Yeah, 373 I have.
Okay. I think everybody knows what the 373 rule is, okay? The 373 rule is that once you have an application, you have within 3 days, you have to disclose.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
7 means that once the borrower has provided you the intent to proceed, you cannot close before that 7th day. Okay? It's your 373 rule. The other 3-day rule is that if you have a change or your closing disclosure has been issued, you have to wait 3 days. If your APR increases by an 1/8, you have to wait 3 days.
If your APR increases by an 1/8?
By an 1/8. If your APR decreases, you do not have to wait 3 days again.
Oh, cool.
Okay? Anything else? Okay. As far as QC, you were talking about QC, what options we have for QC. We do have a QC department. Terry's in charge of the QC department. They've had extensive training. They've been to many seminars. They do have a procedure manual that they've created. So not only do you have to go through our QC department, then before you go to docs, you also have to go through your doc department. And loan documents won't be issued until your 3 days are up once you've issued your closing disclosure. So you actually have two departments, Harvey, that you will go through. But answer. Are you there?
Hello?
Are you there?
We're here now.
Yes.
Hello?
Okay. Harvey, did you hear me?
Harvey,
Adam?
Harvey, are you on this call?
Harvey, are you there?
Somebody get the mute thing, and it's unmuting. Go to side.
Okay. So again, I don't know if Harvey's there or not. Okay, your closing disclosure, this is what your closing disclosure is going to look like. Okay. You are going to have to enter your county, city, and county proration. If you have proration of property taxes, you're going to have to enter that as well now.
Right, to make the loan saleable, obviously we have to be in compliance with TRID. There's going to be a little bit of a window where we've taken loans and applications prior to the institution of TRID, which is in 2 days. Grant, at what point and how are the investors that we're working with giving us a window to say, okay, so if we redisclose, are we good? As long as we have like green box disclosures with electronic signatures by the borrowers, are we okay? Or do we have to jump through a lot of hoops? I just want to prepare my people now rather than later.
Okay. You're going to have to provide documentation or some sort of documentation proving that your application was before October 3rd when the TRID went into effect. Okay?
Thanks. Thank you.
The other thing is you can't have, if you're working on a loan right now and it's not October 3rd yet, you can't issue an LE on a loan and also have a HUD. You either have to have a GFE and a HUD, or if you're going to, as of 10-3, you're going to start a loan, you have to have an LE and a closing statement. You can't have a loan that has a GFE and a closing statement. You can't have a loan that has an LE and a HUD. Do you understand that?
I gotcha.
What I mean by that?
Now, let's say, so let's say that, for example, I filed an application for a loan with a broker a week ago. And I filled out a regular package, and I signed the GFE and the TIL for the application package per everything that I needed to do before TRID. Now I submit the loan. Now I've submitted it to, as a broker, I've submitted it to Flagstar. Flagstar said, you know what, not so much. And then I resubmit the package to Greenbox. Do I have to have them re-sign, or am I going to work off of what they've given in their original package?
Okay, well, right now it's before 10-3, so we can still do the GFE and the HUD 1. We don't need to do the TRID. But I understand what you mean. Is like if you're shopping around the loan, you would have to provide documentation that you took the application prior to 10-3.
Perfect. Good.
Okay.
What I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay. Also, on FHA,
I'm not allowed to sell at FHA, so
okay.
whoever else is on the call is allowed to talk about that.
I haven't been able to see the form, the loan estimate form yet within Lending QB and Doc Magic. So I am not sure whether or not the loan estimate, our form, has a signature line on it or not. It does not need to be signed. If there is a signature line on it, then it needs to be signed. I don't know yet. Sonia, have you seen the form yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Sonia, you're all, like we're good with electronic signatures regardless, right?
Yes.
Right.
An electronic signature. Okay. But
Yes,
what I'm saying is that the loan estimate doesn't currently have a signature line on it, so therefore is not required to be signed by the borrower. Just verification or proof that it was electronically sent to the borrower. But our form itself, I haven't seen it yet to know if it does have a signature line. But on FHA, it does require to have a signature on it. Okay?
Not my problem. I can't sell it, so whatever.
Okay. Here you also have your compliance disclosure, your closing disclosure, which we went over already, to make sure that it matches your last LE, and your change of circumstance. So every time you create a new LE, you need to fill out your change of circumstance form here. The reason why you're creating a new GFE. Say it's the title fee was $100 more, and that's why you're issuing a new change of circumstances. This will keep a log for you as well that you can use.
All right, so in essence, we're trying to document everything electronically. Say this is why it changed.
Yeah, this is why it changed.
All right,
okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Your compliance folder. This tells you that you're using the 2015 TRID. Okay. Your origination fee is not classified as a bona fide fee. Do you know what bona fide means? Whether it's justified that you can charge it or not. This is always going to be no. Your discount points, if it's bona fide, because there's a cost to the rate, you're going to want to click bona fide. That way it excludes that fee from your QM test. If you don't click it, it's not going to exclude it from your QM test, and then it may not pass your QM test. So make sure
that's very important.
Yeah, make sure your discount points, if they are being charged, because there's a cost to the rate, that you do put yes. Your general lender credit. Again, the borrower's upset, delay in closing, and you as the lender decided to give a $500 credit. You can do that, okay? But is that credit to offset APR fees? Yes or no? Okay? You know that if you're giving a credit, obviously your APR fee is going to be less, so you don't really have to redisclose, so you don't have to worry about that. But what is your credit going to affect? What is your credit towards? Is it saying I paid for the appraisal? Is it, or just a flat credit? That will determine if it's going to be yes or no. Okay?
Yep, perfect. Yep.
Your fee audit. Your fee audit screen is going to show you, where did I go? All the LEs that you issued, your initial, your last, and your current. And this shows you, in kind of comparison, you could see maybe if the fees changed, where they changed from. You can go all the way down to every single fee should be on here. From closing fees, say your closing fee change, you would see the difference here, but you would have to have a COC. It's my understanding as long as you complete the COC within Lending QB, you do not have to fill out that other COC form. Okay? There's a Greenbox COC form that you currently have to do, scan and upload or save. You don't have to do that. We can use the change of circumstances form that's in Lending QB, so that's one less form that you'll have to complete or upload in Lending QB.
And that's all good with electronic signatures. That's fine.
Well, the change of circumstance is an internal form, and it's a form that we require for on any loans when there's a change in circumstance that we went over earlier, whether when you lock your loan, when you have a program change, or there's a change in a fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Okay. What questions do you have?
I got a question. Are we going to be able to
Any questions?
Yes. Can you hear me?
No.
This is Gene. Thank you.
I can't hear you. Sonia, can you hear him?
Jean, is that you?
Yes, it is. I want to know how
There we
we're
go.
going to
There it is. There it is.
Are we going to receive wholesale deals?
I can't understand him.
Wholesale submission. When we receive wholesale submissions, lenders have put out different policies of how they will receive them. How will we receive these?
Jean, it's really hard to understand you. It sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Thank you, Sonia. Yes. But I want to hear the question.
Do you want to type it? You want to type it, Jean? In the chat?
Okay. Your
We don't
intent,
want them to crash.
your intent to proceed form, okay, your intent to proceed form is going to be located, your print screen, your custom forms, custom PDF forms, and your intent to proceed, okay? For every loan to start after October 3rd, the only two items that you should be providing us is your intent to proceed and your LE. You're not to have a credit card authorization. You're not to have a credit report. You're not to have already ordered the appraisal. Everything has to be dated after the date of the intent to proceed.
Okay, wait, that was so no more credit card authorizations, numbers, only intent to proceed and an LE.
And an LE.
So if the loan officer did an LE and has an intent to proceed and they have pulled the credit report, so after that, that's okay.
Yes.
That's great. And then on a doc board.
Say your broker has sent to you an LE intent to proceed dated 10/4, and then he's also sent you a credit authorization dated September 28th. No, you can't. That's not acceptable. And
okay, so we need a something signed after 10/3.
Yeah, and just so we're all clear, at least for wholesale, there will be a communication as far as regulations and what our policy is going to be as far as TRID, and it's going to be massively emailed to all wholesale brokers, obviously to the AE, so that they understand what we're going to require and what's going to be, when what needs to be signed and when. So that's going to be sent out hopefully tomorrow, end of day, and just so that we could go over Gene's question, LaFawn, he put something on chat for you. He wants to know if there's a certain policy that you want to go over right now as far as wholesale submissions.
This has been very, very, very helpful. That is great to know. Because we'll train our brokers to let them know what we need to know.
Oh yes, most definitely. And I think their first question is if we're going to be accepting LEs from them, which is a yes. But again, there's going to be a policy and regulations as far as what's going to be required. So that will be put in writing again, and it will be massively emailed to all brokers tomorrow. But going back to Gene's question, sure, LaFawn, you want to answer?
What was his question?
Is there a policy for wholesale submissions?
Well, you're going to put the policy and procedures together and email that out, you said.
Yeah, I think his question, it reiterates more on reference, what exactly is going to be asked in the submission process from the get-go.
Okay, the submission process, obviously, we're going to ask for your intent to proceed and your LE. Your loan estimate for the brokers, I don't know if they're aware, but your loan estimate has to have the lender's name on it, not the broker. Harvey, were you guys aware of that?
I don't think Harvey has a mic.
Okay. For the wholesale loans, I just completed a class that states that your LE from your broker has to have our name on it, not you as the broker. So on your submission, you're going to submit to us the notice of intent to proceed, the loan estimate with our name on it as the lender, and all other documentation dated or obtained after the date that's on the intent to proceed.
Okay. And Jane, just to answer in detail your question, I will be sending out an example of what's going to be expected, aside from what we're going to the announcement we're going to send tomorrow, just so we could all be on the same page.
Are we going to go over for retail as well?
As to what's required?
Yes.
And LaFont, can you let us know what you need for doc orders uploaded? Just the doc order and the LE, or nothing's changed there?
Okay, for the doc order, no, you're still going to complete the doc order like you do now when you're going to request docs, but it's going to really, this closing disclosure, or whether or not it's going to delay your closing, I think it's going to be kind of the toughest thing for us to get through, because everybody's so used to ordering docs. And not, you last disclosed when you locked the loan 2 weeks ago, okay? So this closing disclosure is going to be a transition for us. We can no longer say, oh, I want docs tomorrow. It's not going to be like that anymore, or Raymond emailing that he wants docs today, okay? So it's really going to be on the processor for them. If you have a closing that's set for 9/15, I think you better start calendaring, put on your calendar. That is 9/10, I would start sending out your closing disclosures.
And locking it and making sure.
And locking it, making sure it's locked, making sure you're going to have to start calendaring your closings. And if your closings are set for September 15th, maybe you should mark your calendar on the 10th of the month. Make sure all your loans are locked and make sure your closing disclosures are done. That way that you have your 3 days. But in California, you're not going to close that quickly, so you may have to start calendaring it, maybe doing it like on the 7th if you have a close of escrow day on the 15th.
Right. Yeah.
So it's safe to say, like, the last week of the month to fund loans, if we're changing anything, we're literally kind of out of water.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I've told my clients that they need to understand that with the new rollout, that they're going to have to be on board with us and learn with us. That it's going to be challenging. We don't want to be one on the hook.
Yeah, I think if you remember, you already have to remember the 373 rules. That's really not changed, and that's kind of what the policy we've had also on docs. But if you kind of keep that rule in mind and maybe keep the rule 7, that's an easy number, a lucky number to remember, that is 7 days prior to closing, make sure your loan is locked, make sure you send out your closing disclosure. That gives you sufficient time to order your docs, get them out, get them to escrow, get them signed.
Yeah.
And back to for closing.
No, I agree.
Okay, the locking is going to be. All right.
That's you, Elisa. Taking notes.
I
agree too. I mean, when people ask me how quick can you guys close a loan, I say, I don't know. How much do you suck? And I'm not trying to be an ass on this call, but I'm saying to them, how much do you get your shit together? And either they do or they don't. I think Elisa is on the phone. She knows that I try to put in loans that at least have credit collateral capacity. So at least 2 of those things need to be in that package. But
I have to add this.
As we go through these changes, I would rather tell people that, you know what, it's going to be a pain in the rear. And so I'm trying to figure out how we deal with this. And then, tell them, that it's going to be difficult. And let them be like, oh, those guys set expectations that are so horrible, and now they're working well. So, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it makes sense.
On
But I
ball,
think it's going to be same as your brokers, you know, whether you're using our in-house processor or they have their own processor, you're going to have to implement your own procedures, okay, for, you know, to be able to complete your closing on time.
Correct. So they tell me, they say, can you close a loan in 20 days? I say, no, 30. And then if we can close it in 20, then we're a hero. That kind of thing.
Yes, I wouldn't overpromise something that you may not be able to keep.
No.
And nobody has done anything yet as far as the whole country, so nobody knows what the bottlenecks and if there's any errors or anything, right?
Right.
Okay.
So with Elisa, what I'm trying to, and what we've been really good at doing is setting expectations. So, like when Elisa and I say, all right, you know what, it might take us like 45 days. We should be able to do it in 45.
Yeah, but we have to make sure we're locking, disclosing, or changing a circumstance.
I think just keeping in mind that there's a timeline now involved is just going to keep us all, you know, our heads on top of the water. So yeah, definitely. I think just setting a timeline, again, like LaFawn reiterated, make sure you have your calendar dates. If you're setting yourself for, you know, a certain date of a goal, then just make sure that you need to get your disclosures out on time, your closing disclosure, or whatever is it that you need to get so that you could hit that time frame as far as compliance goes. But I wanted to just tell everybody that the meeting is actually being recorded. I'm going to make it accessible for everybody. I'm sure there's stuff that we might not have covered. We will be circling back just to see how everything is going in about 2 weeks. If there's any questions, concerns, maybe something that you stumbled upon, remember these 2 weeks are going to be critical because the new features are going to be implemented and everybody's going to have the opportunity to start generating through the new system, which I know there's probably going to be hiccups. So we'll circle back around 2 weeks and I'll send out an invite as well.
Okay.
Any other questions for LaFawn?
And you guys are all aware that the new TRID does not affect reverse mortgages, HELOC, mobile homes if they're not on a permanent foundation, bare land, owner-occupied investment property that is for business purposes. Okay. And it does not affect property that's 3 to 4 units.
Hey, LaFawn, I have a question regarding loans that are in the system now. In the middle, we started with the old, but transitioning into the new.
You can still do your GFE. You're going to still do your GFE and HUD. Again, remember, you're still going to do your GFE and HUD. You do not issue an LE. If you currently have a loan, you're still going by the practice of GFE and HUD.
Okay, so those
obviously
are
on
still
the data was
available
open,
in the
correct?
system.
Yeah, whatever wasn't generated after the 3rd, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So those forms are still available in the system then?
Yes, on the archive option.
Right, and if they're not available, I know that Lou had a problem. I know John can change it back to I think it's called the GFE 2010 instead of the TRID 2015. Because I know she had a problem in generating disclosures right now using the GFE and HUD.
If I could just ask, LaFawn, I know you're going to get a lot of calls and emails. If you think anything is relevant that we all know, I'm sure you'll just email us all on it. If it's something that you think, I don't want to bombard you.
You can email me anytime. You can call me. I'm available for you guys to call. Terry in QC department has been trained extensively on this as well. Oh. She probably knows more than I do, okay?
Oh.
She can answer a lot of your questions as well.
Oh, good to know. Thank you.
Okay, and also her QC people. I mean, they should be trained sufficiently enough as well. So if I'm not available, Terry's not available, you have Wesley and you have Gloria as well.
Actually, we should be referring to compliance guys.
Okay.
Yes.
Compliance should be answering your questions.
Good point.
Anything else?
This has been extremely informative. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you, LaFawn. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to us all.
Yes.
Yes,
There's
definitely.
Alex in the background.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.